Thank you, everybody, for being here for the Focus On program for the month of August. I can't believe it. It's already here. I'm so happy to have the guest today, that Laura Hunt Pellegrino, the Director of Public Libraries. Thank you, Laura, for when I reached out to you, and you probably didn't even know what this program was, that you said yes. It's always so great when people make my job every month a little bit easier when I can pin down my next person. So why don't you go ahead and take it away with our first prompt, if just a little introduction and how you found your way to the head of KCK Libraries, if you would.
Sure. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for having me here. I was very excited to be asked to participate and talk more about KCKPL. I think it's kind of a hidden gem in the metro area. So we'll get more to that, but I'll start with a little bit about myself. I actually I started my career as a reporter. I graduated with a degree in journalism, and I found that to be rather exhausting. And so I had deadlines. It was like a 6 a.m. deadline for a morning paper, afternoon paper. And so I was doing a lot of very late nights and very early mornings. And I thought there's got to be a better career for me. I did love, though, the information sharing aspect of that career. I was drawn to it because I love the idea of people having this knowledge that makes them better participants in the world and in their communities. But so I started kind of looking, well, what else can I do? I wasn't sure, and I stumbled into librarianship. At the time I was looking at education, I wasn't sure, but I found ALA's website at the time. This was like 2006 maybe, and they had this great, make a career as a librarian webpage, and they totally sold me on it because I thought, like, who's a librarian anymore? But once I started reading, I'm like, oh, this is like the place to be, right? Like, and my friends would joke, "Oh, you're leaving one dying career for another dying career. Like you're leaving local newspapers for libraries." I'm like, "No, no, no, you don't understand. Libraries are not dying. Like this is a place where we're always evolving. We're always adding new services and meeting our community where they are." And so that's really what I loved about it, what I was drawn to. And I started as a youth services librarian in a public library. And at the time I was like, I will never be in management. I love youth services. I love kids. You can see from the image on the screen there with my face painting. As soon as I saw face painting, I was like, I'm in. And it wasn't anything I really planned for, but I started doing youth services and I just loved the crafts. I loved the kids, the middle schoolers and the toddlers, especially. Like most people are horrified by those ages, but they're just so entertaining to me. Like it's the one place where like I can be ridiculous and silly, and I feel like it actually gains favor with them rather than being seen as like, oh, you're just not professional. So I love that. But once I got to Johnson County Library, I started there in 2013. I was in youth services, and I was just so, I loved how, like they had a lot going on with management, doing a lot of like leadership training and getting people really involved in a lot of the processes that were going on there. And so I thought, I know I never said I would be a manager, but I really want to get involved on a higher level. And so I got into, fortunately, they gave me a chance to be an assistant manager there. And then I was a branch manager. I ended up in system wide management, internal communications. So I spent about 10 years there. This opportunity opened up as the director of KCKPL, and that was a year ago. So I've been here now a year as the director. It's been an amazing experience, just so much to learn, so many people to learn from. There's several staff here, as in many libraries, that have just been here, through a lot and seen a lot of things. And so I'm always asking questions and trying to learn. And that's been my focus since I started.
Very cool. Well, I think a lot of us can relate to the stumbling into librarianship. I hear it between the podcast that I host with Anna and this program. That is something that I hear pretty often. Now, it doesn't happen for everybody. Some people know it from early on, but that's really cool. Um, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the city. It does look like you get to still interact with the kids and everything, even though you went to management with the face painting. So that's really cool too. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about your very broad, diverse community. What are we dealing with here?
Yeah, Wyandotte County is fascinating, or the way that the library is set up is fascinating. So the library is governed by the Kansas City, Kansas School Board, which is unusual for a library. I only think there's a few in the country that still are governed by school boards. And so we do have a close relationship with the school board, but it also makes it so that we have libraries in Kansas City, Kansas, because that's the school district, but we also work with the Wyandotte County as a whole to provide other library services. So we have a library branch in Turner, which is in a different school district that's run by KCKPL, but it is actually, the building is owned by the school district, USD 202, and it's a rec center building. So there's an interesting partnership there. We receive funding from the Wyandotte County Library Board, which gets funding through the UG, United Government of Wyandotte County. So there's some interesting things there. So all these areas that you kind of list here. So in Kansas City, Kansas, we have branches in the West and the South and in downtown. Every one of them is just unique and it serves different populations and different services. So we've got like our downtown branches in Strawberry Hill. It's just a fascinating area with a lot of history. West is over kind of by the Legends area, or not very close, but kind of over toward the West area. So, we get some different, we used to have an big art collection there, which I think they're still kind of looking at what to do with the gallery space there. So just lots of really cool stuff in this city, a lot of amazing history that you can learn more about in our Kansas room, which we have at the main library. There's some amazing history there about Quindaro, the Underground Railroad, the Wyandotte tribe, which had this land before the library had it. So just some really incredible stuff here.
All right, let's go ahead and advance the slide, Dan. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the operations and the staff and the hours. You mentioned about how your board kind of works. What else can you tell us about KCK's?
Sure. Yeah, so we have, like you said, 5 branches, and we also have 3 mobile libraries. And you can see that's one of our buses actually there behind us, behind you there, behind the staff
Mhm.
there. And so this was during one of our summer reading kickoff. So our buses can kind of go around and stop at different locations. So anywhere where we don't have a branch, they can visit those areas. They have a schedule that's on our website. But we have our branches are just so different and so varied. So like we have our main library in Strawberry Hill serves we have like Catholic Charities across the street, workforce partnership. We have people who come in trying to find jobs, but we've also got teens and kids coming in. And then our Schlegel branch is also really unique in that it's got the Science and Education and Learning Center. And so all of these branches are like working together to serve these different communities. And like I said, we have a really strong partnership with the school board or the school district because of our association and relationship with the school board. So a lot of times, like as we're coordinating a lot of our work, we're trying to think about like, okay, what is the school district doing? We've got like the connections there and the resources there to help us as well. We have a pretty long set of hours right now. We're open 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. at our 3 main branches, Monday through Thursday, and then 9 to 5 on Saturday, and 9 to 5 1 to 5 on Sunday. And then our smaller branches, Turner and Schlegel, have reduced hours. So, before you go over there, obviously you want to check out what hours they have open. Um, Operations wise, I don't know how much you want me to go in detail about the Wyandotte County Library Board, but that one is really, it's kind of a different setup than other places that I've seen. Most of our funding comes from the mill levy from the USD 500 board, but the Wyandotte County Board also has authority to tax Piper, Edwardsville, and Turner school district. Well, Edwardsville's the city, but Piper, Edwardsville, and Turner, in order to collect taxes for the Wyandotte County Library Board that are then allocated to KCKPL and Bonner Springs Library. And that's to help support library services in the whole county. Because Turner and Piper are school districts, and they're still part of Kansas City, Kansas, their zip codes and their addresses, Kansas City, Kansas, they can't levy their own tax to build a library in their area. And because USD 500 is limited to a certain section of KCK, we can't build a library in Piper. So it's kind of, we have to kind of contract and negotiate for those things. That's how we ended up with the Turner branch. We had an agreement with the Turner Recreation Commission, the Turner School District, Wyandotte County Library Board, and KCKPL to provide services in Turner. So we're hoping to expand that out into the other areas in the community so we can have more services throughout Wyandotte County.
I'm picturing this org chart with all these dotted lines going everywhere. I'm
Yeah,
guessing it was a little bit of a trip to
I've got
figure
my like
all of
little thing here.
that.
Yeah, It is
for
every
your
time
first
I
year.
yeah, it's true. Every time I explain it, I'm like, I don't know that I'm really explaining it right. But I think it's the idea is that we're trying to provide services to the entire county despite being in
Right.
KCK proper.
Okay, let's maybe rewind the clock just a little bit because you've got so many great photos about the history of libraries in your area. I don't know what you wanted to fill us in on, what you've learned in the last year that we might be interested in.
Yeah, there is amazing history here, which I said at the beginning, but this is our main library branch. And the top left corner is the Carnegie Library that opened in 1904. So Carnegie donated $75,000 toward building this library. And that library was the main branch up until 1966 when the building on the right, top right, was built, which is our current main library. So you can see the bottom picture on the right there still looks pretty much the same. There's some changes out front. So, the history here, the Wyandotte tribe, the Wyandotte Cemetery National Burying Ground is right next door to main library. So there's just a ton of like historical landmarks and to have a library building that's been, I mean, we've had library services in this area and in this building since 1900. And so it's just an amazing place to be a librarian, to think about like all the changes that have happened, but yet all that has stayed the same. And like I said earlier too, like the Kansas room is in this building, and I think it's like an overlooked gem of this area. Hopefully, we're going to be able to expand that service a little bit more. We've got, Connolly collection, we've got history of the Wyandotte tribe, we've got Quindaro history. So there's just so much to learn here, which is part of what we love.
And the next slide is just an overview of your branches, just in one handy dandy slide. You've kind of talked about these various different locations, and we might talk about them more later. Is there anything else that you'd like to just throw in about the physical spaces that you have quite a variety of?
Yeah, like I said, like every branch is just unique, and I love them all for different reasons. The main library, it's like the historic, it's our oldest building. So, but it's funny because like it's so sturdy and so solid, and when architects come and look at it, they're like, oh, look at all the wood paneling. Like it really is like
It
very
does have a
historic.
lot of wood
Yeah,
paneling,
there's a lot of wood
especially
paneling.
in the staff area, staff floor.
Yeah, if you want to come see some historic wood paneling, come to the main library. But we do, like I said, a lot of community services here, career services, and we have an amazing, very adorable children's area with like beautiful little fake trees that the kids can play with. Our youth services librarians at all branches are great, and our regular librarians are great too. I come from youth services, so I was like, youth services is so great. They all do amazing work.
Sure.
And then Schlegel, it is one of, I don't, maybe two educational nature science learning libraries in the country. And this library, if you have not been to it, you really need to get out there. They've got snakes, they've got turtles, they've got a bullfrog. Shout out to Tiana Turner if you're listening, Tiana. Not that you're my favorite frog of all time, but you are a beautiful frog. They've got bird feeders. You can go, just even if you just go sit out on that deck, you can watch the birds come up. It's right off of the lake. So it's just a beautiful location. And they've got a seed library. You can just take seeds, it's native plants. They'll give you information about how to grow them. So really amazing. South Branch has historically served a lot of our Spanish speaking patrons. It's in Argentine, which has a high Hispanic population, but we're finding that a lot of Spanish speakers are coming to Maine now as well. So we've been trying to expand our Spanish offering, Spanish programming, and staff who speak Spanish. And then Turner Library is just a small library inside the rec center. It's only about 2,000 square feet, but all libraries have amazing programs. But for some reason, sometimes I see the things at Turner and I'm like, what? This is, they did a Swifty Enchanted Errors party. I feel like, so I'm a Swifty too. So I feel like, they were really playing up to me. No, they weren't really, but they do some really fun programs with the rec center. They partner with the Turner School District a lot to provide services, story times, and other things for the kids. They've got Paint Like the Greats. They're doing amazing things. West Wyandotte Library, like I said, that was built in I think '86. And so it's got a kind of really unique architectural inside. There's a lot of glass, a lot of like light coming in, even though it doesn't really look like it, but it is pretty bright inside there. And it serves a lot of, because it's farther west, we get a lot of patrons from Piper and Edwardsville coming over to use that branch. And then the mobile libraries, like I said, like that is to me another thing you have to see is those mobile libraries. Like they do story times on that bus. They do holds. They have a computer if people need to look things up or print something. So they offer, all not, maybe not all, but they offer most of the services that you can get in any library branch: reader's advisory, reference questions, troubleshooting, all of that. They do an amazing job. And so I've been on that bus a couple times to stop at different stops, and it's a really unique and neat experience if you have the
Very neat.
chance. Hmm.
And it looks like from your history page that I was perusing earlier that KCK has been doing bookmobile mobile libraries for a very long time. It looked like at least since the 70s, maybe 60s, from what I glanced
Yeah.
over.
Yeah, they have some old pictures of the bookmobiles in the bus. And so I've seen the pictures of them, and I think the old ones are really cool looking too. We could do like a vintage retro at some point. That'd be fun.
Absolutely. All right. Well, a lot going on. I don't know how much time we'll obviously have to talk about in the next 14 minutes or
Yeah.
whatever about programs. We've got a lot of photos that Laura sent over to me, and so I tried to organize them. So, ser- uh, yeah, services, programs, ongoing type things. I kind of picked some ones that were more youth oriented, talking about our bubbly youth services folks here. Maybe that's a good way to start.
Yeah, sure. So these are some pictures from our summer programs that we did for summer reading this year. So a lot of creative, artistic type of things. We actually so first of all, I want to point out the bottom left photo is me as a youth services librarian. So that is not from KCK, but I left it in there because I thought it was kind of funny how I was doing a story time. So just want to blend in with everybody else who's doing story times here. And then the bottom right photo is from last year's Butterfly Festival at the FL Schlegel Library. And we do actually have another Butterfly Festival coming up. It's 9:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. on Saturday, September 20th. So that is a perfect opportunity to check out Schlegel. They'll have monarch butterfly tagging. So they actually tag the butterfly, and then the butterfly will fly. And if it stops at a station where it has migrated, like in an area, it'll get noted that where it's the path it took. I'm totally not saying this right. My Schlegel librarians right now are like, what are you saying? But anyway, they're tagging the butterflies and then they're tracking their migration using these tags. But there's lots of other activities that day as well. You can see there's a butterfly story time going on. We had, different programs this summer: bingo, fire department story time. The kids also got to check out the fire truck. There was a lot of bubbles involved as well coming out of the fire hose. So it was a very fun time. Bubbles and fire go together, I think.
I've never seen that before. Maybe something for everybody to add to their touch a truck next year. That's something
Yes.
that's very universal, I'll say, from a very urban library to some of the smaller libraries down the road from me on the other direction from you guys is everybody loves a good touch a truck, I guess. So if you're
Yes.
thinking, oh, this KCK must be so different from my small library, if you're tuning in either right now or the recording, just think about that great universal touch a truck. I'll go
Yeah.
ahead and advance the slide, but continue to, if you'd like to talk about anything. It looks
Sure.
like here we kind of have an arrangement of displays from
Yes.
various libraries.
Yes, and like like all other libraries, we love our displays. We love our elk scavenger hunts. Youth services department always doing some scavenger hunts, and kids get a little prize if they win it, if they find everything. I had a hard time finding those elves, so they're tricky. And then the Halloween slash Dia de los Muertos display on the right there. I think we have such a rich like history and culture here, and our staff do an amazing job of highlighting that and really like creating very creative displays and recommendations for patrons based off of that. So you can see our little pet. I'm pointing at it like everyone can see me, but you can see like our little pet display down there with a little grumpy cat, and it's just a very creative staff that we have here, I think.
Let's see, advance. And this is maybe some more festival type
Yeah.
programming.
So this is we participated in Pride Fest this year. We did it last year as well. The staff did an amazing job of engaging with thousands of people who were at the event, promoting our summer reading program, promoting getting a library card. We had a computer there this year to sign up library cards. So we gave away some free books. And then the picture on the right is face painting from Library in the Park, which is an event that we do regularly. We were doing it yearly, and this year we took a break from it because we're trying to reevaluate. We had a book sale during the Library in the Park event, and it was packed, tons and tons of people. It was very successful, which I think actually that picture's on the next slide. But we decided we probably need to pull those two things apart to make a festival and a book sale kind of separate. So there will be a book sale again at Maine, I believe in the fall, but I won't say a date because I'm not going to know the exact date, and my manager will get mad when I say the wrong date. So, and
It's
then
kind of crazy to think about the scale. That's part of, I guess, being an urban library. But you show some of these pictures of these events, and the turnout is just crazy. And I imagine the amount of hands that you have to run some of these events just must be quite a logistics puzzle for
yeah,
you all.
and I'm so grateful to, like, for Pride Fest, for example, we had a couple of staff members who did it last year sort of on their own, and then this year they got some additional help. They sent out a request for volunteers. People jumped on and wanted to help, and but that core group is still coordinating all of that work and all that scheduling. It's a ton of work, so I definitely appreciate all of that goes into it.
Absolutely. So yeah, let's go ahead. We did have another
Oh
slide about
yeah,
the Schlegel. So you might
Schlegel.
just fill us more about that. We've talked about him a little
Yeah,
bit. So if there's
and I
anything
can
to
tell
add
you.
about,
Yeah, the photo on the left there is from our summer camp, and we Schlegel Library every year offers a summer camp for kids. They're out of school. It's just like any other summer camp you might get through Parks and Rec, but it's all nature focused. It's amazing. They do wonderful things with the kids, and typically we had registration where you just would registration would open. You'd register. It was first come first serve. But for the last year, a couple of the staff said, we really want to make it more fair for Wyandotte County and more representative of our county because it's really not. It doesn't have as many people from Wyandotte County as it should. And so they created a lottery system so that people could register, and they selected, whoever was from different areas of the county to get priority first, and then filled it with everybody else based on first come first serve. So we ended up being able to grow the percentage from Wyandotte County, make the group, much more fair and representative of Wyandotte County, which was amazing. So I appreciate them for doing that. The middle one is Eagle Days, which usually happens in the early year. So January, I think, is when we usually have Eagle Days. So they bring birds of prey. So that's a bald eagle there, but they also had some screech owls. They had a golden eagle. So that was an amazing educational program. And on the right, my personal favorite, the bug photo contest. I am a huge bug photographer. If anyone who's on the call knows me, I am constantly trying to take photos and identify bugs. So I was very excited to be present for the awards that were given out for the bug photos.
how neat. And I love a good contest. We just wrapped up our summer reading contest sponsored by Neckles, and we'll have a weeding contest for our Neckles members this winter. I think nothing builds community like a good contest. The next slide is kind of coincides. We've talked so much about partnerships. It seems almost innate to what you have to do to be a system like yours. So, I mean, I already heard you talk so much about these partnerships, but yeah, the question that we had was, what kind of partnerships you have. Obviously, we know schools, city councils, and why it's important to you. And I'm guessing you guys couldn't do it in your case unless you all worked together. But do you have also maybe any other odd partnerships we maybe haven't discussed yet?
Yeah, I mean, maybe not odd, but we do a lot of outreach because we don't have a Friends of the Library to take our discarded books. We have a foundation, but they don't deal with the book sales. So we do our own book sales, but we have a lot of items that we remove from the collection that we want to give to good homes. We want to get them in the hands of people who need them. So outside of our book sales, we also do a lot of outreach where we just deliver books. One is it's called Chat. It's through with the sheriff and the police department here, and I think it's children having access to books. I'm making things up again. My manager's like, "Why are you making things up? Just don't say that." Okay. So anyway, we donate books to the police, and they have books in their patrol cars so that if they have to respond to a call and there's a child involved, they can give the child books to read and kind of keep them occupied and introduce them to reading potentially if they're not already. So that's an outreach option, an outreach that we do there. And then we also do that for the courthouse, so that when kids come into the courthouse, they have books to read. We do provide books for the Shepherd Center, which is an organization that supports older adults. So we provide books that they can use for their book club. We also have some really cool partnerships, like with Catholic Charities, which is right across. We have a location right across the street from the main library here, where they teach Burmese and Spanish citizenship classes at our West Wyandotte Library and our South Branch Library. So we have some just very cool partnerships. Another one is Made Men. They do adult education and testing. And so we provide the software that they use for that. And then we do a graduation for our GED graduates here at the main library. Of course, a
Mm,
lot of these are kind of, like there's funding cuts. And so we're still trying to figure out, how that proceeds going forward. But, right now we're all just trying to be supportive of each other and, offer as much as we can to the community.
yeah. That upper left picture was from a back to school bash or
Yes.
something along those
Yeah.
lines.
So back to school fair, the school district hosts that, and they give out school supplies, and they invite us to be there to give out books. And so we have tons, and that these are actually, I don't know that there might be some of our discards there, but I think they're also donated books. Like they're just like also regular books, like not taken out of
Right.
the collection. Some are,
Gotcha.
but yeah, and then the one on the right is the book sale that we had with as part of Library of the Park. And when I say that line was like snaking all around the way around the corner, we had bags to give out, and it was, I don't remember how much per bag, but we would give them a bag, they'd pay for the bag, and then they could fill the bag. And we ran out of bags within, I mean, it might have been like 45 minutes. It was so fast. There were so many
Wow.
people. It was amazing. But that's what made us think like we maybe need to, because we had to unpack all of those books that morning and then pack them all up because we couldn't leave them outside all day.
Right.
So we're thinking, inside the library, maybe over a couple of days. That way we're not so much heavy lifting, but we still hopefully, I mean, I'm sure we'll get a great turnout for that.
Yeah. Great turnout. That's kind of my takeaway. It seems like people really embrace the library, just
Yeah, I
with all these
I think
giant turnouts.
Yeah, that's one of the things I love about KCK and Wyandotte County is there's so much like history and pride in that history here. I think a lot of things that I hear when I'm at maybe like a meeting is like, oh, I went to Sumner, I went to Wyandotte High School, like, and there's just a lot of pride not only in the history and the community, but a lot of people who really want to contribute and help make the community better, which makes it a really great place to be a librarian, to have a library that, is so supportive of that.
That's awesome. We have a couple minutes left. If anybody did have any questions about anything they saw today, feel free to put it in the chat. We do have a moment. Um, Laura, I assume you wouldn't mind if people reached out to you also if they had a question. You might throw your preferred email in chat so people
Sure.
have it. If you are listening to the recording, we appreciate you guys sticking around and listening to what Laura had to share with us. On our final slide, we always end with our partners from Kansas Library Association. And Laura, I know that you've been a member in the past and you've presented at the conference, and we have one coming up in early November. So we definitely suggest that you become a member of KLA. Not you, Laura. Anybody
I
listening,
should too.
you should too. We'd love to have you. But the conference will be in Manhattan. I think it'll be great this November. So just a plug for that, and we appreciate those folks helping us market this program. We'll be back again next month, I do believe, for a September round. So thank you, Laura. I don't see anything in there in the chat. So we'll go ahead and finish this up. It's really great hearing about everything you guys are doing, and I'm really looking forward to visiting that Schlegel library. It's been on my list for a while, so you really talked me into it. So, all
Yeah.
right, thanks everybody. We'll send out the recording if you missed any of this here in a little bit. So until next time, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.